For reaction to this, we welcome to the show NDP MPP Jill Andrew. Jill, thanks so much for making time. I just want to ask you about how you experienced this moment last night as a Black woman who also has alopecia.
Thank you so much, Chanel. You know, the reality is that was an example of toxic masculinity. This was an example of violence being misconstrued as love. And we can never validate that idea. Violence is not love. I can also sympathize with Will Smith and with Jada. I have alopecia. I have centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. It is incredibly painful. And we can sympathize with how they may have been feeling and with how difficult it is to live in a public space as a public figure, you know, facing ridicule. But none of this excuses what happened on that stage. And I also want to say that I hope Chris Rock is taking an opportunity to step back and reflect. That joke was very insensitive. This is a medical condition, one that Jada Pinkett Smith has, no control over, and it shouldn't have been used as a sense, as a joke. It just simply shouldn't have happened. It was dangerous. It was vile. It was mean-spirited, But all of that said, it did not justify, in my opinion, Will Smith's behavior, which frankly stole the moment. From the audience. It stole the moment, possibly even from Jada. It stole the moment from the Williams sisters, and I'm really concerned about the message it sends, to young people who may have been watching, who may think that that is how you're supposed to act when someone says something mean about you. All that said, of course, we know that the Oscars, there have been violences at the Oscars. There have been systemic violences. We've seen racism. We've seen sexism. We've seen anti-Indigenous racism happen over the many years of the Oscars. But none of that excuses someone deciding to use violence as their way of responding to a terrible, terrible joke. And, to understand this and to put it into context, you have to also think about the politics of Black women's hair. It's funny, in the legislature, I actually put forth a motion 35, to try to ensure that in Ontario, all hairstylists have to learn how to work on Black natural hair and Indigenous and racialized people's textured hair, because currently there is no mandatory requirement to have to learn how to work on Black hair. So you have many performers, who are showing up on set and they're unable to get their hair done. They have to pay out of pocket to do their hair, while every other white performer gets to be taken care of with hair and makeup on set. And that's inexcusable, So there's a lot of politics around Black hair. And, we know that Will Smith is a human being. We all are. We make mistakes. We do things that are wrong, and we have to reflect on them. But by no means should he have attacked Chris Rock physically. He could have stayed in his seat, and he could have said everything he wanted to say in that seat. And that would have been one way, a better way, in my opinion, of approaching it. And I get it. He was protecting his Black wife. He was protecting his family. He was protecting her honor, but that is not the right message. We cannot conflate violence with love.
Okay.
We cannot do that.
A really important conversation. NDP MPP Jill Andrew, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.